Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about fixing lagging triceps or tricep specialization. And I prefer the latter term because I tend to think in terms as a strength athlete, as a strength coach for my clients. I don't think in terms of the whole physique point. But the idea is really the same, isn't it? The idea is the same. If a guy's physique has lagging triceps, then obviously he's going to want to bring those up and do some tricep specialization as well, just like for me. They're a weak point in my bench press. Very big weak point in my own bench press. I'm having to do tricep specialization these days. And I have clients who deal with this. And you know what? My different clients, we don't necessarily do the same things for every client, but the rules are the same. Now, up front, people say, well, what should we be doing? Well, you've got to develop all three heads of the tricep, but also you need to focus upon the ones that are going to give you the most strength carryover as well. Now, some guys will say, well, what if I just care about the aesthetic? And I would point out to them that if you get your tricep stronger on all your presses, your tricep in general is going to grow. So you do need to be thinking about your overall strength of the tricep. You really need to, because if you bring up all of your pressing strength across the board, then what's going to happen? Your tricep as a whole is going to grow easier. So it still applies. But right up front, obviously, closed grip bench presses. And I am going to point out in here that we do need to be doing a lot of smaller exercises. We do need to, and I'd say the triceps are one of the muscles in the body that do require that oftentimes, more so than many others. There's a lot of muscles in the body that you really are wasting your time with single joint stuff. Triceps may be one of the exceptions to that rule for sure. But over to the point, closed grip bench press, very, very high priority. Tons of closed grip bench pressing will help you with your overall tricep development, and right behind it is going to be dips. Now, some people will point out that dips might, in theory, give better overall tricep activation of all three heads than the closed grip press, and I will agree with that. The problem is that we can do less volumes of dips. In other words, getting significant tension on the dip can actually put a lot of aggravation on the shoulder joint. Whereas in a closed grip bench press, if we're low on the chest, below the nipple, elbows tucked, tends to be very, very, very easy on the shoulder joint, and we have a terminal range of motion that can stop us. It's easy to program, easy to progress on because of that. The thing is that the closed grip bench press is an exercise. It's still a big, big compound movement that uses a lot of tricep, but we can do very large amounts of training volume on with minimal inflammation. Unlike a lot of wider grip benching, in which that wider grip can aggravate the shoulders, right? It can be problematic. So therein lies the difference. But realistically, you should probably combine the two. And I do some dips in here to show you guys, but closed grip bench press, number one exercise. You're going to need to put a lot of focus on it. Now, dips have their place, and I'm going to suggest a possible variation, and I got this from Clint Darden. But instead of weighted dips, and I'm not saying weighted dips aren't good, weighted dips are great for this, and you could certainly use them. I have clients who do weighted dips. But using bands over the top, which you guys will see in a minute I do through here. And the reason for that, not only do we get some better chest activation, it's also easier on the shoulders. It's easier on the shoulders because when you put a band over the top and it's over your shoulders and it's around the elbows, it tends to force you a little bit to pull the elbows in a hair tighter. It unloads the very bottom of the exercise. It creates a stretch reflex because you get a little bit of an overspeed eccentric at the top, so it makes the pecs fire harder out of the bottom, but it slightly de-emphasizes the bottom. It slightly de-emphasizes the weight loaded at the bottom, so that concern that we have as far as irritating or inflaming or aggravating the shoulder gets removed to some extent. It gets removed to some extent. So if you look at what I'm doing there, I've just got a band. I've got a 50-pound band doing some sets of 10. You'll notice that, again, it's a graduated strength curve. It gets a little harder at the top. And the top is where we're going to get a hair more tricep activation and a little less pec. But the interesting thing is that it actually works. It actually works the chest tremendously hard. I feel it more in my chest, even though on paper that should be a phenomenal tricep exercise. Because I did do that in tricep dip form. But surprisingly, surprisingly, it still gives a tremendous amount of chest activation, mainly due to that stretch reflex and then getting an overspeed eccentric type effect at the top from the band. So that was fascinating to me the first time I did those, and I felt it so much in my chest. But as far as a tricep exercise go, dips are going to hit all three heads, and using something like a band like that is going to ensure that you're working a little harder near the top, and that you get a little bit more of almost a stretch type reflex on the tricep. So this is a fantastic variation for guys with lagging triceps. And again, I got this from one of the really good guys historically from West Side, and they're all about triceps for your bench press. And so again, it's a fantastic variation, and it's easy to do. Minimal equipment, right? You can just take a set of bands with you to the gym. And the other thing you guys are going to notice, everything I'm doing here is pretty high rep. Everything is like 10, 12, 15-ish. And it's because of the fact that if we have a lagging muscle like that, we need to bring it up with pure volume. We have to bring it up with volume. And you guys know I'm all about the max lifting. I'm all about the heavy lifting. But that is not the best way to address weak points or lagging points. And you have to remember that a bigger muscle is a stronger muscle. And total training volume is what produces the most size. Now, I will say, though, that guys chasing size need to focus on strength, too, because that maximum strength makes you stronger at everything. It makes you stronger at 5s, 10s, 12s. And if your 10 rep max goes up, you're going to grow faster, right? Let's be honest. Hopefully people realize that. But it's the combination of them. So obviously you're going to want to be doing your heavy lifting. But yeah, doing a bunch of sets of 10 is going to benefit you on these things. Then the last part of the equation would be lots of extensions, various forms of extensions. You need to find extensions that you can do that do not inflame your elbow tendons. Now, this is one example. I'm doing skull crushers, but what am I doing? I'm getting an extension of the shoulder so that we get long head activation, and it puts less stress on the tendons at the bottom. Because I'm not bringing it down to my forehead and stopping, that puts stress on the tendon. That causes tendinitis. It causes your elbows to hurt. And it's that elbow hurting that people blame heavy benching for, right? Oh, the heavy bench press hurts my elbows. No, it's your tricep extensions, and you're feeling it when you lock out on the bench. That's what's causing it. So doing that and then adding chains to it. What does that do? If I put chains on there, it unloads further the part that puts that stress on the tendon. Therefore, we can do more training volumes without inflaming our tendons. Similar effect can be achieved with using straight chains. What if you don't have access to chains? Okay. How about dumbbells? Do your extensions with dumbbells. All right, doing this exact same form I'm doing here with dumbbells, which I have a lot of my clients do. Right? I have a lot of them do that. If they have access to dumbbells and no chains at their gym, this is what we do. Do it with dumbbells. Again, very, very easy on the elbow. It works all three heads of the tricep very effectively, and it does so in a manner that is easy on tendons and joints. And we have to consider that when we're talking about large volumes of training. If you're going to add 10 sets of an exercise, 6 to 10 sets of an exercise every week to your normal training, it better be easy on your tendons and joints. If it's not, you're going to run into problems. Now, I do a set of JM presses later in here at the very end, which you guys can see. JM press, great alternative, but some people have shoulder issues from the JM press. They notice it tweaks their shoulder. Some people notice that it causes a lot of inflammation of the tendon. And so the JM press is one of those that if it doesn't bother you, it can give phenomenal results. However, it may aggravate those things, and I notice a small amount of aggravation of those things, so I'm reluctant to keep it in for long periods of time. It's a great exercise. It's a great exercise. In fact, I have a client who had lagging triceps, and he does all of his benching close grip now. He does JM presses twice a week for 5 sets. He doesn't get any problems, and his triceps are blowing up. This kid's triceps are blowing up. They've almost doubled in size. They've gone from being, a possible weak point for him to being really a strong point. And he is a younger kid in college, and so he does care about his physique, even though we're worried about strength. And he's been really, really happy with that. So for some people, the JM press, but notice the way I'm doing them here. Look very carefully. All right, this is a very specific exercise, and if it's done incorrectly, it's going to be a problem for you. But it can work for a lot of people, but it doesn't work for everyone. I have another guy who does this exercise, and we had to cut it out pretty quick. He got tendonitis. He got tendonitis. And your last option is bands. Now you can do reverse bands, because again, you should all have a set of bands. I don't want to hear any excuses. If you are serious about lifting, you will have a band set. You can do them with reverse bands, and it will help many people. You can do them in a rack. If you've got one at the top, you can hook over. You can do reverse bands to unload the bottom. And the JM press can work very well done with reverse bands. And your other option is band press downs in general. Like if we want to talk about what's going to really hammer your triceps, minimal equipment, doesn't look cool because there's no weights involved, do band press downs. Right? There's a form of extension that will work as well. And let's come over to the point we all have bands anyways. We all have bands anyways. And again, you talk about prehab for elbow tendonitis, band extensions. In fact, I think my client who got the issues from JM presses, what's our solution? He does band press downs every single day now. He does them every day. He has a set of bands. He can do them at home. He can do them at the gym. We do high rep band press downs. Superior to cables in every single way. Every single way. But they will give you DOMs. They will make your triceps hurt. They're actually phenomenal for your tendons. So again, our solutions to these problems are what? Closed grip bench press. Dips. Now, ideally, dips against bands. That's probably for someone with really a lagging issue. It's great because you can do more training volume. Various extensions, being selective in the extensions based upon your personal biomechanics and anatomy, right? Based upon your personal structure of what sort of various extensions you can do that do not inflame tendons, that are easy on joints, that you can do very, very large amounts of training volume with. There's going to be your key. And the thing is that we've got to hammer those triceps from multiple angles if they are truly a lagging muscle that you need to bring up or you need to specialize in them. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.